Hi everyone, my name is Becca Culbertson and I'm an animal science major.
My name is Apurva Oak. I'm a bio major here at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Today we'll be presenting on menstrual health education in Uganda.
Menstrual hygiene management is a problem that plagues many low-income and low-resource countries. The burden is magnified in rural communities where access to basic resources is limited. Many girls are unaware of their menstrual cycle and are not taught how to deal with it properly. There is an overwhelming culture of silence surrounding menstruation. Mothers tend not to educate their daughters on what is happening in their body and inform them that it is entirely normal. Many mothers even encourage their daughters to stay home from school while menstruating, as they are seen as dirty and impure by peers and teachers. A study done in the Rukungiri district of Uganda found that 62% of girls reported missing school each month for menstrual-related reasons. When a young girl stays home from school, she is missing out on formative educational experiences. Therefore, in an average year, a girl is missing at least 54 days of school. This pattern supports the high rate of poverty in countries like Uganda, which is a slippery slope for mothers continuing the cycle with their daughters and can result in the withdrawal of girls from school at a young age. In addition to menstruation stigmas, women also face physical challenges to menstruation. They lack durable, reusable hygiene products and clean infrastructure conducive to their needs. Because menstruation isn't typically discussed, it is easy to dismiss or not prioritize in patriarchal societies. That being said, we wanted to find a way to effectively educate school-age girls in rural Uganda with culturally relevant tools that would provide simple menstrual health education. To optimize menstrual hygiene conditions, interventions designed to inform target audiences about menstrual hygiene management in a culturally relevant way have proven to be effective. Therefore, we decided to create a concise, comic strip style infographic that would be easy to include in sustainable menstrual hygiene kits distributed to young women in Uganda. We began our research by searching the peer-reviewed literature found on PubMed and Sage journals. We focused our search strategy on articles that discussed attitudes surrounding menstruation and general cultural beliefs in Uganda. The following keywords, culture, Uganda, public health, and menstruation, were used to glean the most useful sources. Moreover, through key informant conversations with a peer who had worked briefly in Uganda on a similar project and our advisor, Dr. Roberts, we gained more insight into the local beliefs and stigmas surrounding this topic. By learning about sexual health in the context of African culture from anthropologists and key informants, we outlined what we wanted to achieve and created a rough draft of our product. Bi-weekly meetings with our advisor, Dr. Joni Roberts, who specializes in global health, young adult sexual health, and cultural beliefs, helped us eliminate any barriers to the girls' perception. Dr. Roberts provided us with infographics of communication messages used in similar educational settings, so we had an idea of the desired simplicity. We would draft a copy of her comic and discuss it with her, where she provided valuable feedback to the product's development. Here, you can see an example of a Ugandan educational infographic that Dr. Roberts provided us for reference. The infographic is culturally relevant, well received by its target audience, uses simple language, and relies heavily on illustrations to get the message across, giving us adequate guidelines in designing our comic. To gain more insight into Ugandan culture, we had multiple conversations with our peer Rachel Rosenzweig, who spent the summer of 2019 in Kampala, Uganda. In Kampala, Rachel worked with a nonprofit organization to manufacture and distribute sustainable menstrual kits to girls in the area. Rachel spoke to us about the schooling environment, what the girls wore, what activities the girls enjoyed, some common Ugandan phrases, and what imagery the girls were most receptive to. All of these factors were taken into account when drafting our comic to be culturally relevant so the girls would be more receptive overall. Additionally, we listened to a pre-recorded conversation with Dr. Pamela Mukere, a Ugandan native and the CEO of RIBO. This nonprofit organization focuses on resources for improving birth and health outcomes. Through listening to her speak, we learned more about the lack of menstrual resources that rural Ugandan schoolgirls have. Additionally, she talked more about the stigmas that surround menstruation in Ugandan culture. Dr. Mukere highlighted the need for menstrual health education, which inspired us to focus on the younger generation, which will hopefully break the silence surrounding menstruation in Uganda.
Our comic features a Ugandan schoolgirl who has just gotten her period. She is worried because she doesn't know what to do until she is visited by a superhero who shows her the necessary tools and provides moral support. The superhero ensures the girl can do everyday activities even on her period. The schoolgirl feels empowered enough to spread awareness at the end of the comic by telling her friends what she has learned. We went through a couple of drafting phases when completing our comic. The green boxes highlight changes that needed to be made. First, we did not include enough menstrual essentials. Second, we used the word empower in some dialogue. The word empower does not have the same connotation in Uganda as it does in the United States. Instead of being synonymous with uplift, the word comes off as hostile to Ugandans. Another change we needed to make was the misspelling of Webale. Finally, we ended up changing our comic's moral as it didn't relate to the plot line. This is our second draft of the comic. The yellow boxes highlight the modified panels. In addition to the pad, soap, and underwear previously drawn, we included a bucket of water commonly used by rural Ugandan women during menstruation. Next, we changed the message of "your period is empowering" to "your period is not bad, do not worry," in order to avoid the westernization of a comic meant to be culturally relevant. We fixed the spelling of Webale and the moral of our comic to "anything they can do, you can do bleeding," which we felt was more relevant to the message we were trying to relay. This is the final draft of our comic. It was created in the iOS application Procreate by graphic communications student Sarah Salisbury. We made sure to keep the illustrations simple with contextually relevant details such as the schoolgirl's clothing. We were able to create an appropriate comic due to the information provided to us by Rachel and Dr. Mukher. When creating our final product, we wanted to keep the challenges surrounding menstruation in mind to have a concise message. The major issues we noted were the lack of knowledge or information on menstrual and reproductive health and the anxiety and embarrassment regarding menstrual cycles. We are proud of the culturally relevant comic we created, which we hope will help stop the stigma associated with menstruation. Our final product was shared with Ribbo CEO, Dr. Mukher, who thought that this accessible comic could help break the misinformation and taboos surrounding menstruation. Thanks for watching.